Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters by Anfield Index. The international break is nearly over, not quite yet. There's still a few games left to go, and more importantly, the Reds are back in action on Saturday, aren't they, against Nottingham Forest. Saturday, 3 o'clock. We don't get too many of them, so we'll see what that brings. There's also things going on off the pitch, contracts, transfers, plenty to talk about. And I'm joined as ever by the renowned and the respected David Lynch. And David, it is the international break just now. You can be honest with us. Watched any? Kept abreast of anything?
Not massively. I do try and kind of switch off from it in these periods because it's obviously so busy usually. So I haven't watched loads, but you obviously see clips, don't you? Clips of goals, clips of little bits of performances and stuff. And and I think, kind of the positives and the negatives from that. So, I've seen little bits and bobs, but I can't say I've been fully studying it in the way that, a lot of football managers will have been.
No, fingers crossed. Most just hoping our players come back without injuries, which, touch wood, seems to be okay so far. And there's just a few things it's worth calling out or just asking you about that we've noticed from the international break. Isak Ekitike got his first goal for France. As he said, it's a childhood dream. Every time I get minutes, I try to show my abilities, and I'm here to help the team. I'm happy to be rewarded. Did you see this one, by the way? Did you see his first goal and the clip of it all?
Yeah, really, really nicely taken. Just a lovely kind of team goal in terms of the way it was worked as well. And he's put it away well, which, we've seen so much evidence of that for Liverpool so far, haven't we? He's got that composure in and around the box. He can get those little exchanges going, good feet and a tidy finisher. So really good to see him continue that. And I always think, there can be kind of upsides to international football in that, players keep the confidence going or they get confidence, get goals, and that can help them if they're in a tough spot. Obviously, he's been playing really, really well, but to be able to sustain that and come back as an international goal scorer now, I'm sure that will only help him grow. Because, he's still a young player, so, there's so many kind of milestones ahead of him. And this is just the latest one. So you just like to think that he'll take that form now into Liverpool, but he is already being very good for Liverpool since he signed.
Yeah, we won't mind seeing a few more of those. And I don't know if you noticed, because he came on in the first one where he got his goal and then he started the second game. Did you notice where France played him in both of those?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously there's been kind of talk about that, the possibility of Liverpool trying that out, Arne Slot trying that out. I don't really necessarily see him as kind of a natural left winger. I don't know. Obviously, Deschamps disagrees, but, it's not somewhere he's kind of, you look and he's not really played there over his career so far. He's been very much a centre forward. Now, he's clearly capable of doing it. And Slot did bring him on, didn't he, on the left-hand side against Galatasaray. And then it lasted for like 2 minutes because Isak got an injury. So it's obviously something they can think about and something they might want to try. I'm not sure Liverpool are in the spot now where they want to kind of experiment in that way, but it's good to have options and versatility, isn't it? And so for him to be able to do that is pretty handy. But, I know that he obviously scores his goal from very much a centre-forward position. So if you're ever going to use him there, it's very much in mind with him coming into those kind of central spots. And I think, you're thinking if you're going to use a winger who's basically a centre-forward is going to come into those spots in the way Liverpool did, you need a kind of facilitator in the middle, like a Firmino type. And for me, actually, Ekitike with his ability to drop deep and link play is the closest Liverpool have got to that. So either way, if you're going to use a centre-forward out wide, he still probably, for me, feels a little bit better suited to the centre-forward role. So, and the fact that you've got Gakpo there, you've got Wirtz can play there and has done recently. Obviously, Rio and Gamoa coming through as well. Not sure it's something we're going to see loads of, but as I say, it's never a bad thing to have that versatility in the squad.
No, and to be fair, if he keeps scoring and keeps playing well, that's all we can ask for. And you mentioned one of his potential rivals, partners, however people describe it. Alexander Isak was back in action. Sweden were horrendous and they got pumped, but at least he's back on the pitch. I suppose in terms of for us, this is a positive, isn't it? Because he's getting minutes. They've got a game on Tuesday as well. And we're not sort of making sweeping judgments, but when Liverpool invest 125 million, you want to start seeing some returns soon, don't you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you've got to kind of judge him quite harshly. And I know that sounds kind of unfair for me to say that, someone who covers Liverpool, but, Liverpool don't usually spend these huge sums of money. And when they do, you expect that the signings are going to deliver them. We're in November now and he's got one League Cup goal to his name. He hasn't played well, particularly at all, really, from what we've seen. And, as much as you say, oh, well, you can give him time. Well, he's 26 years old and he costs 125 million. And, you want immediate kind of returns on that investment when you're spending that sort of money. So, you hope that he can get over this. I've got a big worry that this season's just going to completely get away from him, to be honest, because you've seen it so many times, haven't you, where a player gets an injury at the start and they never really get going after that because the pre-season they can't really kind of catch up. I really hope I'm wrong about that, but I've just seen it so many times through the years where players have done that exact same thing, and it'll almost be kind of his second season before you see anything close to his real level. Like I say, I really hope that's not true, and I hope getting a couple of minutes on international duty now, he's got another game ahead of him, will be really helpful in terms of him coming back fit, and then at some point we can start to see the best of him. But yeah, his price tag demands that, and I would also say kind of of all the things we're diagnosing about the problems that Liverpool have got, you've got a centre forward there who's done virtually nothing when he cost you so much money. And I mean, we can talk about tactics and all these issues that Liverpool have got. That's going to be a problem for you when you've got a player that good who is just doing nothing at the moment. He's providing less than Darwin Núñez at the moment. That Liverpool have kind of downgraded in that area in that sense. As much as Ekitike has stepped up and done really well, Isak's just doing very little at the moment. And I know I'm sounding like I'm being really harsh there, but it's just true. And so football is as much about the players. And so to get him fit and firing Liverpool won't have to play perfectly for him to turn things if he's doing well, because he just scores goals and he creates things and he's a world class centre forward. So you need to see that after the international break, really, and hopefully the games will help.
Does feel as well for us a pivotal period for him as well if he's going to start to do things this season. And I suppose in terms of others attacking players, Mo Salah, we had the good news that he's not going to take part in Egypt's second game of friendly against whoever it is. So is that probably a good thing, just that he's getting a bit of rest before he comes back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think, with his age now, you've just got to look after him a little bit more. And, he did start to show signs of coming to life, didn't he, prior to the international break? I thought Real Madrid and Aston Villa was very, very good in those games. And I don't think anybody played well at City, so I'm not really ready to level that one at him, to be honest. So, I think it's important that he gets those rests. It shows that Liverpool have got that good relationship with the Egypt FA as well, because they tend to be really kind of understanding about these things. And so, will be good to get him back, hopefully fresh, and hopefully he can, get back to his kind of best form in this run that's coming up.
Well, you mentioned they've got a good relationship. I don't know if this that's kind of come out in the last 24 hours is going to test it, because Egypt want him for a friendly on December the 14th against Nigeria. That's their build-up to AFCON. Now, the thing to say is that game is December the 14th. Liverpool have got a game against Brighton on December the 13th. So that's just a big fat no from Liverpool, surely.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not saying this with any insight because it's not something I've kind of checked up on so far or been able to get any info on. But I'd just be surprised if he goes. Judging how these situations have gone in the past, and like I say, the good relationship they've got, I would be kind of surprised if he does end up being called up for that one, because as much as they want to prep for AFCON, he knows he's a star player. I think he'll want to stick around for the Brighton game and kind of finish up there. So I don't think he will be involved, if I'm being honest. I think they often say that side of things, like, oh, we'd like to get him, we'd like to call him up, that's the aim. Yeah. And then it never kind of happens in the end. So just judging by what we've seen before and how Liverpool tend to manage this relationship, I don't think he will be part of that.
You would be surprised, would be horrified, to be honest, especially with the run we've got till Christmas. We'll see if anything develops on that. And I suppose the other sort of internationals, there's still a few players that we've got to get back, so we're crossing fingers and everything on that. But one that may have gone under the radar, Did you see Rio Ungamoa's wonder goal? I know it was against a Latvia under-19 side, but it was still a hell of a strike, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's just a brilliant young player, isn't he? And shouldn't forget that because he's not seeing an awful lot of the pitch at the moment. I'd say he's definitely too good for kind of under-19s level at the moment, which is why you maybe not seeing a lot of him there for Liverpool, really. So, a good confidence boost for him. And again, not playing much at the moment. So good for him to go away and be able to do that and to get minutes and make mistakes and make decisions on the pitch and kind of, just all these things kind of aid his development a little bit. And so the goal will be great for him. And I'm pleased to see him get it.
Yeah, it does feel like he needs it because I think Lewis Bowe put out a tweet just before we went for this international break that he didn't see any minutes across any Liverpool age range, like the senior squad, the under-21s. We've had Rob Page talk about how Trey Nione's been struggling a bit with his role or his lack of football almost in between. It might be almost a sweeping question, but I think it's important to ask him or ask it to you right now. How do you think we are handling the development right now of Rio Ungamoa and Trey Nione?
I think everyone involved would admit that it's not an ideal situation that both of them are seeing so little minutes at the moment. I mean, Trey, in fairness, is involved in the youth league, so he's been getting games in that. I think he can play better in those as well, by the way. You do wonder, you're starting to wonder kind of if he can't get minutes there and then he's coming in and he's looking a bit, he's looked good in moments, but not great in others. So it's kind of, he's a bit up and down. And I just wonder whether kind of that consistency is lacking because he's not being challenged consistently enough outside of training, but in a real competitive environment. So with him, is he kind of, do Liverpool look at it and think maybe a loan might be good for him here because, of where he's kind of up to. So that's an interesting one. And with Ungamoa, the problem is that he's the next cab off the rank, really, in terms of the left wing. But obviously, I get the impression that the manager doesn't want to use him in situations where it's kind of, it's so difficult at the moment and there's so much pressure on and it's not an easy place to put him in. And I think, at the start of the season when it was going well, we were seeing him coming off the bench and influencing things. And since then, the results have turned. And so it's like, do you really want to be turned into this young kid and saying, can you save us here or whatever? So I don't think they want to put too much pressure on him, really. So, but I'm sure there's plenty of minutes left for him. I think Ungamoa is closer naturally because of how the squad is made up. So I'd like to think there's a lot of minutes for him between now and the end of the season. And with Trey, maybe a decision to make on a loan. But again, I think that will probably be deferred till the end of the season, really, because again, there's no League Cup now, so that does hurt him a little bit. So maybe that does expedite things. But then the FA Cup game will come around, and of course that will be in January. So if Liverpool get knocked out there, maybe there's a decision to make for him to go on loan in the second half of the season because it's hard to see where he gets his minutes otherwise. But for Ungamoa, I don't think he'd be in that conversation for a loan. And I guess your overall question was, are they handling it well? And I think they would admit probably not at the moment. But there were a few moving parts and, let's kind of see what happens in the second part of the season.
Yeah, still plenty of time. It will be interesting to see how that develops. And I suppose the final bit of the international break, you don't usually get too much drama in international football, but probably heartbreak for two of the Hungarians, wasn't it? The last-minute Ireland goal. It was a hell of a game, wasn't it? But disaster for Szoboszlai and Kirkes there.
Yeah, I mean, as a Lynch, I've got to say, not totally devastated by Ireland getting through on that one. That's a brilliant moment to watch, and yeah, Troy Parrott, unbelievable, really. So, but yeah, for the Hungarian lads, you just wonder about kind of what does that do for confidence, or does it give them a renewed kind of? You could take it both ways, can't you? It'll really harm the confidence. They'll come back feeling quite down, and because they look devastated at full time, but. Also, will he come back and say, right, well, I've got to throw everything into this rest of the season with my club now? I mean, with Szoboszlai in particular, he strikes me as someone who's got that kind of mentality that he'll be almost angry and coming back in a really, in the mood to turn things around for Liverpool. So, hopefully he'll be able to do that. And for Kirkes, a real blow for him. But again, he's very young and a lot of major tournaments coming up throughout his career. And for, again, he really needs to focus coming back to Liverpool and kind of getting it right because it's not been a fantastic start from him. Some good, some bad, and mostly kind of on the bad side recently, obviously getting dropped by Robertson. So, again, can that refocus him now? Can he come back and use that as motivation? Hopefully so from a a Liverpool perspective.
Yeah, that interview that Szoboszlai gave afterwards was kind of like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, wasn't it? He just looked deadly, so fingers crossed he wants to take it out on Nottingham Forest and other teams. And we still got a few to come back. We're still hoping Robbo, Wirtz, as we mentioned as well, the Dutch boys, so it could, touch wood, end how we want it to. We'll see what happens there. In terms